Gentlemen, today we're diving into something that sounds almost too ordinary, but it's quietly the foundation of your energy and blood flow after 50. We're talking about water. Yes, plain, everyday water, but in a way most men never think about. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, Dr. Brooks, I drink plenty of water. I'm fine. And you might be right. You're probably drinking enough volume. But here's the catch. Plain water hydrates, but it doesn't always energize. It fills the tank, but it doesn't always fire the engine. And for men over 50 who care about stamina, focus, circulation, and yes, performance in the bedroom, drinking only plain water can be a missed opportunity. Your body doesn't absorb and hold nutrients the way it did at 25. What used to just work in your 30s often stops delivering in your 50s, even if you haven't changed much. And the hidden heroes behind this shift are minerals. Magnesium, sodium, potassium, zinc. These are the invisible elements that control heartbeat, nerve impulses, and the relaxation of your blood vessels. So if you're a man over 50 and you want an effortless, inexpensive way to improve energy, sharpen focus, and support stronger circulation, this is your video. Because today we're not just talking about water, we're upgrading it into functional hydration. And by the end, you'll never look at a simple glass the same way again. But first, quick question for you. How old are you and where are you watching from? Just drop your age and country in the comments. And if men's health and real talk matter to you, hit like and subscribe. I post weekly videos that most people avoid. Now let's start with what actually changes inside your body after 50. The anatomy of hydration. Now let's talk about what actually changes inside your body as you move into your 50s and beyond, because this is where hydration quietly starts to fail. When you were younger, your body handled fluids and minerals effortlessly. Your kidneys regulated balance smoothly. Your digestive system absorbed nutrients efficiently, and your cells stayed hydrated without you ever thinking about it. But after 50, a few subtle shifts begin to occur. First, your thirst signal weakens. You don't feel thirsty until you're already mildly dehydrated. That means many men who think they're hydrated are actually spending years in a low-grade dehydrated state, the kind that drains stamina, dulls focus, and quietly reduces circulation. Second, your kidneys become less efficient at holding onto minerals, so even when you drink enough water, you lose electrolytes faster than your body can replace them. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a slow leak. The water goes in, but the charge slips out. And third, this is the most important piece, your vascular system stiffens. Those arteries and capillaries that once expanded easily with every heartbeat begin to lose flexibility. They don't open as readily, they don't respond as quickly, and stiff vessels are the enemy of strong, reliable blood flow, especially in the smaller, more sensitive vessels that support energy, endurance, and sexual performance. Here's where most men get misled. Plain water hydrates the outside of your cells, but it doesn't always reach the inside. Why? Because water by itself doesn't carry enough electrical charge to move nutrients across the cell membrane. That charge comes from minerals, electrolytes, dissolved in the water. Without them, your muscles misfire, your nerves miscommunicate, and your blood vessels don't get the message to relax when it matters most. That's not just dehydration, that's a communication breakdown inside your body. So the solution isn't fancy bottled water, and it's not drinking more and more volume, it's being intentional. Understanding which minerals your body quietly loses with age, and replacing them in simple, strategic ways. And if I could ask every man over 50 to focus on just one mineral first, it would be magnesium. And that's where we're going next. I call magnesium the body's great unwinder. It's the mineral that tells your system, you can relax now. Magnesium is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions. But the one that matters most here is this. It allows your blood vessels to relax and expand when blood needs to flow. That includes the arteries that supply your heart, your brain, and yes, the corpora cavernosa, the sponge-like chambers that fill with blood to create an erection. Here's the problem. When magnesium levels are low, and studies suggest this is true for nearly 70 to 75% of adults, those smooth muscles stay partially contracted, your arteries narrow, blood has to push harder to move, and circulation becomes weaker and less responsive. That constant tightness has a name. It's called vasoconstriction, and it's a quiet killer of energy, stamina, and performance. Magnesium counteracts this by acting as a natural calcium channel blocker. Calcium tells muscles to contract. Magnesium magnesium tells them to let go. It's a balance. And modern diets have forgotten the magnesium side of that equation. When magnesium is restored, blood vessels relax more easily, blood flows with less resistance, and circulation improves, not just temporarily, but consistently. That's why men often notice better sleep first, calmer energy, fewer night cramps, and improved circulation, including where it matters most. And before we move on to the next mineral, I want to quickly mention something that ties directly into what we're talking about here. I've created a guide called the All-in-One Men's Vitality and Intimacy Blueprint. It's a simple step-by-step roadmap for men over 50 who want to restore circulation, energy, confidence, and connection naturally. Inside, I break down the same foundations I use in my own practice: hydration, minerals, hormones, blood flow, and daily habits, all working together instead of in isolation. You'll find the link in the description and pinned comment if you want a clear system instead of guessing. Now back to magnesium, because how you take it matters. For hydration and circulation, powders are often more effective than pills. Forms like magnesium glycinate or magnesium citrate dissolve in water and are absorbed more efficiently. When added to your daily water, magnesium doesn't just supplement, it transforms that water into something your body can actually use. Within days, many men notice smoother mornings, more stable energy, and circulation that feels less forced. Magnesium relaxes the system, but hydration also needs control. And that brings us to the next mineral most men have been wrongly taught to fear: sodium. Most men hear the word sodium and immediately think bloating, high blood pressure, or heart trouble. But sodium itself isn't the problem. The type of sodium and the context it's used in is what makes the difference. Sodium is the gatekeeper of hydration. Without enough of it, your body cannot pull water into your cells. That's why some men drink glass after glass of plain water and still feel dry, fatigued, lightheaded, or flat. The water goes in, but it doesn't stay where it's needed. Here's what's happening. As we age, we lose sodium more easily through urine and sweat. And at the same time, many men are told to aggressively avoid salt altogether. The result? Water passes straight through the system instead of being absorbed. That's not hydration. That's dilution. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not talking about sodium from ultra-processed foods. That form of salt is stripped of its companion minerals and paired with inflammatory ingredients that throw the body out of balance. What I'm talking about is unrefined salt, sea salt, pink Himalayan salt. These contain trace minerals that work together with sodium, magnesium, potassium, calcium, creating balance instead of stress. When used correctly, sodium helps your body retain hydration. It supports what's called the sodium-potassium pump, the mechanism that powers every nerve impulse and muscle contraction in your body. That includes the signals that tell blood vessels when to relax and open. With adequate sodium, hydration becomes structured. Water doesn't just pass through you. It enters cells, it carries minerals, it delivers signals. That's why men who add a tiny pinch of high-quality salt to their morning water often notice steadier energy, better circulation, and fewer crashes. And I do mean a tiny pinch. No more than what fits on the tip of your finger. In a large glass of water, you're not drinking salt water. You're restoring the electrical balance that allows hydration to work properly. If magnesium is the great relaxer, sodium is the controller, managing flow with precision. But every controller needs a counterbalance. And that brings us to the next mineral: potassium. If sodium is the controller of hydration, potassium is the stabilizer. It's the mineral that keeps pressure, rhythm, and flow in check. Potassium works hand in hand with sodium to maintain proper fluid balance inside your cells. Together, they regulate the electrical signals that control heartbeat, nerve impulses, and blood vessel tone. When potassium is low, which is extremely common in modern diets, arteries become less flexible, blood pressure rises, and the heart has to work harder to move blood through stiffened vessels. This matters for energy, for endurance, and for reliable circulation where it counts. Here's the modern problem. Most diets are overloaded with sodium from processed foods and severely deficient in potassium from fresh produce. That imbalance creates tension inside the vascular system. Blood vessels lose their responsiveness, and circulation becomes less efficient. Restoring potassium helps reverse that. It tells blood vessels when to relax and when to tighten appropriately. It smooths the electrical rhythm of your cardiovascular system, and it protects against the stiffness that quietly builds with age. For men who exercise, sweat often, or feel fatigued despite drinking enough water, potassium is often the missing piece. Used correctly, potassium helps hydration stay balanced instead of chaotic. A small amount of potassium chloride powder or a low-sugar, potassium-rich electrolyte blend added to water, especially after activity, can restore what's been lost. This isn't about loading up. It's about equilibrium. When sodium and potassium are balanced, blood vessels remain flexible, circulation becomes smoother, and your energy feels steadier throughout the day. So now we have relaxation from magnesium, control from sodium, and balance from potassium. That trio forms the core of functional hydration. But there's one more mineral that plays a different role, not in hydration, but in masculine vitality itself: zinc. And that's where we're headed next. Zinc is the architect behind testosterone production. It plays a direct role in hormone signaling, sperm health, immune strength, and tissue repair. Even a mild zinc deficiency can quietly lower testosterone levels, reduce libido, and sap energy, especially as men get older. Here's the issue. Zinc in pill form is often poorly absorbed and can irritate the stomach. And because absorption declines with age, many men think they're getting enough when they're not. That's why liquid zinc can be a smarter option. Just a few drops in water allow for faster, gentler absorption without digestive stress. Zinc helps maintain healthy testosterone levels, supports motivation and mood, and reinforces immune resilience, something that becomes non-negotiable after 50. Now, a quick but important note on iron. Iron is essential for oxygen delivery. It forms the core of hemoglobin, the molecule that carries oxygen to every cell in your body, including the tissues responsible for stamina and performance. Without adequate iron, even perfect hydration won't prevent fatigue. But iron is one mineral you should never supplement blindly. Too much can be just as harmful as too little. That's why iron should only be supplemented under medical guidance, based on blood work. Now let's bring all of this together into something practical. You don't need to add everything at once. Balance matters more than excess. Here's a simple daily framework many men find effective. In the morning, start with your vascular primer, a tall glass of water with magnesium glycinate or citrate powder. This signals your blood vessels to relax and helps your body wake up smoothly. Option 2 is your hydration anchor, a tiny pinch of high-quality sea salt or pink Himalayan salt in water. This helps your body retain hydration and stabilizes energy. Midday or with a meal, add your zinc drops to water. This supports hormone balance and immune health. And if you're active, sweating, or physically working, finish the day with your potassium rebalance. A small amount of potassium-rich electrolyte powder in water after activity helps restore electrical balance and prevent fatigue. These aren't complicated steps. They're small, intentional upgrades, and together they turn plain hydration into functional hydration. Water that doesn't just fill your body, but activates it. Before we wrap up, I want to address a question I hear from men all the time. Which supplements actually deliver real results? After reviewing the research and what I've seen work consistently in practice, I've narrowed it down to 4 essentials. 1 to support stronger, more reliable erections. 1 to improve stamina and performance, 1 to help balance testosterone naturally, and 1 to support prostate comfort as men age. They're all natural formulas, backed by science, and selected to work together rather than compete with one another. You'll find them linked in the description and pinned comment below if you want to explore them further. And remember, this channel is a safe space, a place where men can talk openly about health, performance, and confidence without shame. So before you go, let me know in the comments, how old are you and where are you watching from? As men age, this isn't the end of vitality. It's a smarter, more intentional beginning. I'm Dr. Aria Brooks, and I'll see you in the next video.